Everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am Chanticleer and this is
I am in.
you need to
Change your name. I don't need to change my name.
So what's up everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we are gonna discuss about one of the best topics you can ever discuss on this planet Earth.
that is manipulation. And a lot of times we see manipulation as like we imagine if there's a deeply heinous person who's trying to probably just kill us, who's trying to exploit us in all the ways possible. We see it as a very negative term, and so today and a lot of times, just every other day, someone like we do feel like that I'm being manipulated, we're being exploited. So we are here to talk about this topic and share our views and our opinions, although not to mention yeah to mention actually, in case if any of our opinions you disagree with it or anything, so it is subjective, it is not objective, and it matters person to person, but we will only try to cover all the things that we know and that can probably help you out in life and in general. And so yeah, let's begin with it.
Well, we are not saying that whatever we say is correct, but these are our opinions, and if you have your own, please feel free to write them in the comment section. We will love to read them and discuss them in future videos. So now we are going to start about the manipulation. So first let me ask you a question, Chanticleer, that what is manipulation?
Manipulation is simply, first we imagine it as I told it, we think of it as a very negative term, but it is not. Okay, manipulation happens everywhere. Manipulation happens on a one-on-one level, it happens on friendship levels, it happens on in your love relationships, on your parental thing, and even in any organization you go, and also in a like the capitalism thing you can understand, because big organizations, they are obviously manipulating you in a sense that they're getting you buy all the things that they have, they are all the products. So that is one form of manipulation. So manipulation is basically all around you, and as a matter of fact you are living with it every day. It is happening everywhere around you, at your home. If you cannot like identify it that much, we are not aware of it that much, but it is happening everywhere, because we use it, so that people use it because they want to get anything done, because they want things from you. The first thing कि उन्हें तुम्हारे से कुछ फ़ायदे चाहिए होते हैं, कुछ चीज़ें चाहिए होती हैं. दे वॉन्ट टू बिल्ड योर ट्रस्ट, दे वॉन्ट टू गेन योर ट्रस्ट फास्टर देन दे वुड नॉर्मली, and it can be because they want to exploit you, they might want to take benefit from you in one way or the other. And yeah, there can be multiple reasons, so we will try to decode all of the things.
Right now, just a thing pop up in my mind, which I think will be exciting to discuss. That whenever we talk about manipulation, it is in our day-to-day life, and we can't actually avoid it. It is there. So does manipulation interfere in when we say there is free will, or does free will does not exist, and the only thing that exists is how and who you choose to be manipulated by, and what ideals you take from other people? Because even if you take ideals from other people, you are taking some sort of agreement from there, and you are trying to live that way. So can we say that a free will type of thing does not actually exist, but it exists in the underlying form of manipulation?
Yeah, I think I agree with it. And the thing is that with time, with self-awareness, with practice, you will be able to identify it. And as a matter of fact, you cannot escape manipulation. You will be manipulated your whole life till your last breath, because if you happen to exist on planet Earth, there will be things, there are people who want their things done, who want actually, because even right now, like everyone is selling you something, everyone is selling you. The moment you choose to believe in any idea, just know that it happens in the first form कि you choose to be manipulated there. The moment you subscribe to any idea or opinion, you are choosing to follow any ideology. So that happens because of manipulation.
So now that thing is clear, what is manipulation? We have tried our best to convey it. If we missed a point, please feel free to drop a comment.
Now, what is the purpose of it and how it manifests itself in reality, in real life around us? Because we see a lot about manipulation, gaslighting, these huge terms on social media, but we don't really know. Even if you read hundreds of articles and 48, 49, how many laws of power they are, and many things like that, if you don't know how to use that in real life, it is of no use, because in the first position you have to identify manipulation.
So now let us discuss on, well, the purpose of it, I find, is to coexist in a society where ideologies match. Because if your ideologies are not matching in a certain position, then you can't coexist. So you have to be manipulated by a certain ideology. Now that manipulation can't be considered as you are being manipulated to do an extreme thing, but you just subscribe to that ideology. That is a soft manipulation, I think, which is where you convince yourself that this is the right thing and this is the community I choose to follow, and I follow it with my free will, even though the underlining is that you are being manipulated in there. So the purpose of it is to coexist, I believe, because if, again, your ideologies doesn't match in a certain position, there will be conflicts.
And how it manifests itself in real life is whenever any of your friend, if they compliment you, that is also a bit of manipulation. Sometimes people give you too much appraisal, and you yourself see that. How often do you give people compliments? How often do you tell people that okay, you're looking pretty fine today? But if it goes beyond that, if it goes like, oh my gosh, what are you looking today, you are looking literal goddess, or anything, like if they exaggerate it too much, that is also manipulation. What are they trying to do? They are trying to make you feel better, so that, and what will happen if you will feel better? You will trust them more. You will think they are your person, so you will trust them more. And yeah, so one way it is used in to build trust. That is and now this can be used in a manner against you. This can be used also in a positive manner, but you have to be aware. Like if someone is giving you too much appraisal, just try to question that thing. Would I do the same thing? Would I also praise someone this much? Is that it?
Well, I agree with the point that whenever someone is trying to tell you something, don't just blindly follow it by just saying that I trust this person and I believe that whatever he or she says is the right thing to do. Have your own opinions. And even those own opinions are manipulated by your own thoughts. So, but that is the only type of free will I think you will ever have, is not to just believe in something, or not to just think like something someone said, I have to believe it blindly. If there is a thought of you analyzing that particular part, that okay, this person made a particular statement, but does that particular statement align with what I think, or does it really true? Or if you start to do your own research, that is the part where I think you are not manipulated, but you are thrived by your curiosity, that you want to know if the certain thing is there, or you are not being misled. And I think that is the only part in the entire journey of life, is where you are not manipulated, but you are trying to see whether it is okay to be manipulated by this idea, or this idea interferes with certain ideologies that you have.
And so let us talk about some manipulation tactics. This way you can easily identify, because what happens is that we in our homes we're not taught any of this, in our schools we're not taught any of this. And how some people actually get into manipulation is that they learn those things as a survival mechanism in childhood.
And getting back to the point of that she made, people compliment each other, and sometimes the compliments are too exaggerated. It is not the fact that they are trying to manipulate you, Some people throw out huge compliments because that's how they think they will be accepted in a society where they appreciate a person overly. Or some people don't throw out compliments because they think that that is what society expects you to give less compliments, and that's how we will be accepted. But getting back to the points on manipulation tactics,
Sometimes you can identify it as they will take brief pauses. They will take brief pauses. And what's your take on that?
and a brief pauses part, I think it is very important to pause in a conversation to just think and analyze what a person has said. That has to be done in both ways. Like if I'm talking to her and we made a certain point, we need to give it a pause to think about this. Now that is a good pause because the statement is completed and we are both having a pause on thinking and analyzing what it is. But when there are sudden pause in middle of talking, like if I am trying to convey something and I pause, a very long pause, that is a manipulation tactics, I would say, where the listener is now quite in a little of a dilemma or in a confusion that what is happening. Like he was trying to make a statement but he paused, so now all the attention the user have is by the sender who's giving information or by the person who is speaking. Now his entire thing is stopped and only focused on what the other person wanted to say, and I want to listen. That is a way of manipulating you, in a sense that whenever they talk you have to listen very carefully, because now you don't know when are they going to pause, and when they do you will not be able to carry out a conversation because you are waiting for the information to come to you.
Another thing you will see in manipulators around you is that they see themselves as the main character of their own lives, and also as the main character of your life also. Like their problems will be far bigger than your problems. Like if they have anything going on, they'll try as much as possible to take that main character attention from you to them, whether it is any happy moment, it is any spotlight, or it is any like you're crying about something bad happened. Even on those times, like they will say, ah, that's fine, but you know what happened to me is that my mother did this, my mother did that, or anything. It could be anything. So you have to identify in those moments that are they accepting my feelings, is there a space for me to express myself completely, and that too without them being judgmental, without them judging things. Because what they will do, sometimes they will throw out any statement a bit judgmental piece that will make you shut down. So you will not talk about your thing, you will just listen to them. And this judgmental, like, and they will not be judgmental in a very direct sense, like, okay, shut the fuck up, like stop crying or anything. But it will be like, if they have to lower your self-esteem, they will not say that you're looking ugly. They will say, like, they might say something like, you know, I saw someone like you who's wearing the same clothes that you're wearing. And then you'll ask, like, who were they then, how were they looking, of course. And then they might say ki, nah, she wasn't looking that great. So it, in a sense, now I just narrated it, so it might not feel that huge, but in a one-on-one conversation, it will lower your self-esteem. You will doubt yourself and you will feel bad. So these things are done in a very subtle manner. They are not direct, but there are ways, and you have to identify in the conversation that, am I feeling bad by what the other person said? And do you see yourself at that point ki, okay, I can confront this person on that, like, okay, you know, you just said something and I didn't like it. How will they take that thing, and next time how they respond to it? And I suggest you that do make boundaries like this, because one thing, if the other person is trying to manipulate you, ये उसकी जो tactic है, ये उसका जो pattern है, उस चीज़ को break कर देगा. And if the next time the person does that, you will know कि they don't care much about my feelings, they don't care that much about things. So yeah, that can be one thing.
To add on to that, there is a certain level where a person is being sympathetic when you share your side of a story, whether good or a bad, and they throw out from their side of story relatable to that. But there is a difference between being relatable and just telling you to divert from that conversation about you and just focus it on what I did. Like if me and her having a conversation, she throw some kind of a situation that she had and I had the same thing, then that is will be relatability, that I'm trying to relate, and I'm trying to relate the feeling she had at that point. But the difference, the other one will be, she said a statement, I said my own, and now we are discussing what I felt in that particular situation, disregarding what she felt or what she did. So it is really important to identify that, because at that point you feel like, oh no, this person listened to me, is sharing information, and it is doing this and that, and maybe he's trying to tell me. You don't have to be positive about it all the time. You have to see good in people, but also identify, is that really good, or is that just they're using me for their own comfort or for their own things to let out.
And relatability, it is like one of their biggest instruments. They use relatability in every sense. They will, like, and in the beginning you will find ki, like, they don't have much of uh, opinions against you. They don't have a very distinct personality with many opinions that are against you. उनके जो भी opinions होंगे वो वो पहले तुम्हारी बात सुनेंगे और वो उस चीज़ के बेस पे अपना चीज़ को बना लेंगे कि हाँ ठीक है, एंड रिलेट वो चीज़ों को बहुत ज़्यादा रिलेट करेंगे. एंड इन दैट मैनर, लाइक एज अ ह्यूमन बीइंग रिलेटेबल is something that we chase, and is being something it is something that we like a lot, and on the basis of relatability is that we make friends. So it is, they use it as a very big instrument. So you have to realize कि क्या सब कुछ ही relate हो रहा है, मतलब हमारा सब कुछ ही same है, कुछ different नहीं है. So that can be one red flag.
Yes, so please identify the difference between relatability and you are just being used to throw out their trauma onto you, and they're trying to sort out their feelings disregarding what you feel. And they don't really do it in a sense that you feel that you are not being included in the conversation. They will talk about their feelings and their trauma by saying that maybe आप ऐसा feel कर सकते हो और शायद आपके साथ भी ऐसा हुआ हो. And that is, I think, a huge red flag even in any kind of a conversation. Let's moving on.
And one thing is that they are always the victim. They are always the victim. Like, in if you see in any part of their life, like in all the scenarios, कोई ना कोई उन्हें दिक्कत पहुंचा ही रहा होता है, और जिसकी वजह से वो बस continuously suffer कर रहे होते हैं. It appears as if they are continuously suffering and everything is affecting them. Like, ब्रेकअप किसी और का चल रहा है, उनके भाई और उनकी गर्लफ्रेंड का चल रहा है, सफ़र वो कर रहे हैं, सबसे ज़्यादा बुरा उन्हें लग रहा है क्योंकि मेरी दोस्त चली जाएगी या कुछ भी. लाइक, does that even make sense? So they are basically the victim in their whole life. And one positive trait about people that you can learn from, or the strong personalities that you should look up to, is that they never want to be like,
Victimized.
yeah, they never want to be victimized. They never want to be seen as a victim, because they have a sense of, like, they have this heroic sense in them that, okay, I can fight with anything, no matter how bad things are. I am not the victim, and even if things bad are happening to me, I still have the power, I still have that authority that I can change those things. But they will always find themselves in that victim position, and somehow you will be in that thing together with them. और फिर तुम अपने आप को रिस्पॉन्सिबल फाउंड करोगे इस चीज़ के लिए कि मुझे अब इस इंसान को सॉल्यूशंस देने हैं, क्योंकि ये अपनी लाइफ में बहुत ही ज़्यादा बुरे टाइम से हो रहा है, शायद बहुत ही बुरा चल रहा है, तो मेरे को इस इंसान को सॉल्यूशंस देने हैं. एंड समवेयर आई एम रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर these things. I am responsible in this thing कि I have to make them feel better. I am kind of responsible for their happiness. And when you do that, you lose your own self, क्योंकि अब तुम्हारी लाइफ का मेन कैरेक्टर तुम नहीं हो, तुम्हारी लाइफ का मेन कैरेक्टर वो है. And now you're working for them, you're not working for yourself. And when you go down that path,
the individuality disappears, if I can say it in a layman's term. The thing is, victimizing a thing is very vast. You will see, no matter what the situation will be, they will be like, मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ यार, मेरे साथ कैसे कर सकते हैं, मेरा वो दोस्त छोड़ के चला गया, मेरा ये हो गया, मेरा वो हो गया. Even in those sense, you will feel like maybe you should talk to them about maybe there is something you did wrong, and they will place it like नहीं नहीं ऐसा थोड़ी होता है, मैं तो अपनी तरफ से सब काम कर रहा था, मैं तो अपनी तरफ से सारा कर रहा था, लेकिन मेरे को हुआ नहीं. So being victimized is the best way to gain sympathy from people you know you are manipulating in a very high regard, because the people who get manipulated are trying to find a way to channel their thoughts, to channel their emotions, and to understand what they are feeling from their emotions. In those sense, those people are not good, not bad, they are just there. But these kind of people are very easy to manipulate, because you tell them that you are not the only victim, I am victim in my life too, and they feel like, okay, this guy is also suffering, so maybe I should help him because nobody helped me. But you went there to find help and comfort for yourself as well. If the chain of your friendship is just you comforting and you are telling other person how you should channel your emotions when you don't know how to channel yours, and you are not getting information for yourself how you can handle your emotions and how your trauma, then it is just a one-sided relationship. Now we are not trying to tell you that finish the relationship, that you are being manipulated. Try to communicate that, and if the thing is not changing and it is staying the same, then the person now is intentionally trying to manipulate you.
Another thing that they use is isolation. They will isolate you from your other friends, and they'll do that in a very subtle manner. And what is your take on that?
Sorry.
Isolation.
The isolating part is very vast, I would say, because you can imagine there's a class of 40 people but you only talk to 2, so there is kind of isolation. When we are social animals, we are to socialize with everyone. There is a difference between you not trying to be social because you don't want to be that involved, but you are in a sense involved, but to just cut off yourself from everyone that is around you in a certain point, that you have to spend 2 or 3 years with these people and you are not trying to communicate with any of them, just a one person, and you have your own book, that is very much isolated. And for girls and boys, certain things that happen is when they get into a relationship, most of them are trying to isolate their partner for themselves, which is from where boys lose their friendship, girls lose their friendship, and when the other person is done manipulating you and done with you, they will leave, because they didn't isolate themselves. They had their friends. They just told you your friends are bad. They had their own family relationships, but they told you your parents are bad. And now you are in this alone situation where you don't have anyone but that particular person to rely on. And not only in relationships, it also happen in friendships, it also happen in parenting too, and teaching as well. So when a person is trying to isolate you from the entire world, saying the entire world is trying to be cruel towards you and you are the victim, and trying to isolate you in a certain boundary, that is the worst thing a person can experience, because now you don't have anyone, just a person who is not even sure that that person will stay with you.
Yeah, and they do make a lot of times promises with you. They do very pointless things to gain your trust. They might send you those best friend reels on Instagram, and let me assure you, if your friend is sending you those best friend reels from Instagram, that is
If the friendship dynamic is those things are seen as cringe and you're just trying to have a laugh, then that's a different thing. But if your friendship is just on a scale of beginning, and you have certain boundaries, and they're sending these kind of reels to you that you are my best friend, send this reel to a friend who is in your heart, send this reel to a person who makes you smile every day, then there can be some distance. It is not all bad, but somehow you feel in your gut that this is a little too much or a little too less.
Now, what is good and bad manipulation?
A very important part that people don't talk about, because manipulation in a word seems very heavy. When you say you are being manipulated, it feels very heavy that a person is trying to make me do something that is their thing, but I'm doing it for them. And it's a very heavy word to even comprehend, to even categorize as a good or bad. But there are good manipulations and bad manipulations. Good manipulations, as we said before, that manipulation is something you can't avoid. It is in your day-to-day life. It is you who choose to be manipulated by someone, and on how much scale you are being manipulated. If a person is saying brush your teeth, you are being manipulated to brushing your teeth. That is not a bad thing, that is a good thing. Or maybe I'm just making a nonsensical point by comparing it to that, but to have the idea of brushing your teeth and following it, it is kind of a manipulation, or maybe a schedule, you can say. But I think from my perspective it is kind of being manipulated, because it is not you who are choosing to brush your teeth from starting. You are being forced, and then now it is in your day-to-day life, and now when the person doesn't brush their teeth, you see them disgusting. So that is kind of a manipulation, and it is a good manipulation. Some habits which are shown to you by your parents which are helpful, like you should cook, you should know how to cook regardless man or girl or a boy. You should be clean and try to be clean as well. So these are the kind of things which I think are good manipulation. And when teachers are trying to force you to study in a some kind of way, they're trying to force something which can be good for you, and that I also can think is a good part of a manipulation. Or when your mother say that if you don't do this thing, don't talk to me, it can seen as a heavy thing to bear, or a heavy kind of thing, that the mother is trying to do these kind of things and she's trying to manipulate me, but she's trying to do it in a good sense so that you have good manners, I suppose.
And if based on my personal experiences and the people around me, जितना मैंने इस चीज़ पे बात करी है, तो a lot of times क्या होता है कि ये चीज़ें शायद हमें 11th 12th में या कॉलेज टाइम पे दिखती हैं, आइडेंटिफाई होती हैं, क्योंकि उसके पहले हमारा एक थोड़ा ब्लाइंड बेस्ट फ्रेंड फेज चला होता है. But in 11th 12th, in all these, in your college years and when you enter your workforce, तो उस टाइम पे there are times, there are moments when you sense betrayal. Or so in those times, in your like 11th 12th grades या आपके college time पे, you get those things. उस टाइम पे वो चीज़ें होती हैं, जैसे you will face a lot of betrayals. एक फ्रेंड ने डिच करके दूसरे फ्रेंड से बात कर ली, मेरे को पहले उसे आइसोलेट करके, ऐसा वैसा. a lot of these things happen in your like when you enter also your job profession. That is where we realize. And a lot of times जब एक betrayal मिलता है, दूसरा मिलता है, तीसरा मिलता है, then you just think कि you feel very helpless and you feel that I'm so naive, I know nothing. But to a great extent, we all have been there and we all are just there. And in the beginning it feels very heavy, it feels very very heavy, because you're so helpless. You feel like I knew nothing and that person just played me so well, I didn't know a thing. But I will tell you that everyone faces that, and it is actually important. It is actually important, because if that thing doesn't happen, so you will be manipulated. You would have been manipulated your whole life. You'll be taken advantage of your whole life. And so when those betrayals happen and those things happen, when you identify that this person is very bad, this person is something, So then I feel you can look back on the patterns, the behaviors, and the moments where you suppressed your own feelings for the other person, where you felt like, no, I have a say on this, but you didn't say anything. Even though you were feeling bad, you were still listening to the other person and still trying to solve their problems. Then you will realize ki, okay, no, I have to gain my self autonomy, and I am as important as the other person. My feelings are as important as the other person. So it is very very important, and I will recommend you, if in case you're in that phase of your life or in any phase of your life, I will recommend you to read about psychology a little, different personality disorders. Like there are narcissists, there are psychopaths, there are borderline personality disorder. Actually, you need to read about those things, because sometimes we think that, okay, something is weird with this person, but I don't know what is it. So when you read about those things, because you also get it, these things make sense only then. Because if I tell कि यार ये इंसान ना, इसको empathy नहीं feel होती, या ये इंसान थोड़ा weird सा है, other person will be like, what do you mean by that, what do you mean by that? And but a lot of times you find that there are people around you, or maybe there are people at your homes who are narcissists, who are psychopaths. But those things are hard to label, and those things are hard to deal with. So once you know ki, okay, this person is bad, this person has something wrong with them, you know ki, now I have to protect myself, now I can take some space. Otherwise you'll indulge with them in order to solve their problems, and you'll just keep playing your own self. So it is very very important that you check within yourself that, okay, how am I feeling? It is very very important. And sometimes we are just codependent on other people, because that's how probably you survived your childhood. And the adult personality, I read somewhere, it says that what you have become today is just all the coping mechanisms that you took on to survive your childhood. Now whether it was being overly happy, overly joyous, or whether it was like not talking much, it required you to not talk much, so you will become like that, and we take on those things. So I recommend that as you grow up, maybe try writing, journaling, and it is very very important to be in touch with your own feelings, because that is it, that is you. And sometimes feelings are very weird, but that is all you, man, that is all you. And you're not going to be happy all the time and not going to be sad all the time, but you have to deal with all these things.
But on the point she made, I would like to highlight the good and bad manipulation parts, where the good manipulation is a manipulation you will feel that if I apply this thing or this thing is happening to me, like she said, what are you feeling? And that is not only that, what are you feeling, what are the people around you feel? Because again, if you think only you're feeling, you might feel good about certain thing at that particular time, that being isolated is good, you think about yourself, you are alone with your thoughts and you are alone with this. But in a longer term, if you want to live in a society which is widely in a sense that you have to live with each other, then how will you able to be, how you can manage about your things in that society if all you know is how to live isolatedly? So it is very hard to identify what is good and what can be bad in a manipulation. But if the thing that you are trying, or if the thing that it is being forced to you to do, and it's bringing out something good, not only for you but as a member of society as well, then it is a good manipulation. And we are not talking about a specific religious part of manipulation, not on a religious level, but on a humane level. So moving to the next part, places where we are being manipulated.
As I have mentioned it before, we are being manipulated on one levels. Like right now,
We are both having a conversation, but we are somehow manipulated by the idea that we have to record it and we have to post it. So we are here on a similar level of ideology which has manipulated us to do the certain thing.
and it can be on the friendship level, it can be on your love relationships, it can be on the societal level. It can be on the parental level, the political level, of course, and the capitalist level, that organizations are, again, businesses are trying to sell you everything. They want to spend your whole money, and that is it. Now, how to identify manipulation? This is a very big question, that how can you identify it, because nobody taught us that. So what will you do?
Now, again, taking back to the good and bad part of manipulations, you can't really avoid manipulating, but identifying it is a very important part. As we discussed before, the manipulation tactics what people use, you have to really think about things. You have to really think about the conversation you have with a certain person and how much you were involved in it. How much of a conversation was about you and your feelings, not only them and their feelings. And if you see the proportion is not matching and you're just there to comfort them and you're not being comforted in any other part, then you are being manipulated in thinking that you are being comforted, but you are not. And the things we have listed before as to what people do to manipulate you, not in a good sense, but in a very bad sense, that they are the only people you can rely on afterwards, is that you have to be very careful. You have to not be a sheep, but you have to be a wolf in cover of sheep, because they have to think that you are an easy target. That's how socializing works. But you don't have to be an easy target. You have to analyze things. It is quite a lot of work to put in, even if you are simple minded. But when you think about stuff, that's where you have free will. That is where you are not being manipulated, but you are trying to figure out who is manipulating me in a sense that I don't want to be manipulated in.
And a lot of times, if you go and confront them that okay, you manipulated me, and especially I think your friendships and your love relationships, they will never ever accept it. They will blame it on you. They'll just blame it ki okay, it was my birthday, you didn't wish me, yeah, whatever it was. You don't have to buy in those things, and you have to take stand for yourself, because to break a manipulation, to break that manipulation, I think the more you're in touch with your intuition, the more you're in touch with your own feelings, that will save you. Only that can save you. If you are feeling bad, that is simple. You are feeling bad, then you know ki now I will not engage in this thing, no matter how important it is, yeah, whatever it is. So to be in touch with your own feelings, because your feelings will tell you. They will tell you whether you want to be with that person, or whether you want to break from that person, or how that person is making you feel. And to be more aware, while you're in conversations, at that time you have to be aware, because you have to kind of realize that okay, what this person is actually talking about, and what are they selling me, what idea are they selling me. Do they want me ki I hate this specific person because they hate that person also? They might be telling you stuff like okay, this person did that. And a lot of times those people gossip like a lot. Their whole life is just gossip. Gossip is sometimes great, like you do share some information, like you just know ki, okay, what is happening, but not in a bashing manner ki, okay, that person is terrible, they did that to me, they did that to me, in order ताकि वो तुम्हारे भी पर्सपेक्टिव को वैसा बना सके, so that you also believe that. And people who lie, they lie a lot, because उनका आइडिया होता ही नहीं है कि हमने अकाउंटेबिलिटी या रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेनी है. एंड वेन यू विल टॉक टू देम या यू विल कन्फ्रंट देम, दे नेवर टेक दैट कन्फ्रंटेशन. उनमें बिल्कुल भी वो चीज़ नहीं होती है आगे देख, इट विल लुक वियर्ड.
पार्क में हम
तो so yeah, and they never ever take accountability. Instead, and at any point of time, if you like, they will criticize you a lot in subtle manners ki acha, you know what, I didn't like that thing about you earlier, what you did. So yeah, and then you will think about it, you will try to change that thing. But when you say something to them, there follows a long explanation that is not needed, because real people who, the way to take criticism is to listen to it and to work on it. It is, yeah, there can be a bit of justification explanation that you like to give, but it is not for the 20 whole minutes. Or it, people don't justify themselves so much, the real people who are genuine. And a lot of times people who give just vague explanations, that is because they are trying to kind of in a way change your perspective also, and so that you are convinced by them, and hence they don't have to take the accountability or responsibility for their own actions, what they did, and the consequences that will follow. Then it will just be कि यार मेरी किस्मत ही ख़राब है, not just that कि तुम्हारे actions ख़राब हैं, तुमने बिना सोचे समझे actions लिए या whatever.
And to get back, that whenever I look around, I'm not trying to avoid the conversation, I'm listening to her. My mind works, I have to imagine the thing happening. So just to point that out, not a patriarch. But to get back on how to identify a manipulator, the one thing that is very common in all of them is the accountability part. Some people don't take accountability. Some take, but they don't take criticism. In a sense that criticism is very high and people are not open to it. But you see a person saying that this is wrong with me and this is wrong, I know this is wrong, but I still do it. And then you criticize them for doing it. Then and they don't take it well, or they don't even try to take it, or they don't even try to listen to what you think about that certain situation, then that is a person who is very manipulative, in a sense that that person wants you to agree with him. That person wants you to think of him highly, that oh my god, this person said that this might be wrong, but they are doing it still. It means that there is something wrong with them. The situation is kind of worse. That's what they want you to think. And that's not how life works. You can't be a main character in everybody's picture, because everyone has their own POV and they are their own characters. But these people try to do it in a sense. And it is the very important part to see if someone is trying or being manipulative or had that character to manipulate you in a negative sense, is the accountability part and the way to take criticism. Because the way to take criticism, maybe in a heat you don't take it, but you listen to that and that thing is in your head, and then you tell the person that I listened about it and I thought about it and this might be wrong. That is the person who's trying to better themselves. That is the person who maybe unintentionally was trying to manipulate you, or maybe he was being manipulated, but he or she is trying to be good, in a sense, in a moral sense. But a person who doesn't take any accountability in a situation where there is a fight, it is always the fault of the other person and I am always the victim, then that person is not okay. In their head or even in their core self, they are not okay. Because the thought of thinking or even imagining that I am wrong is not comprehensible for them. And they are done for it.
Now here comes the last part, is
The part you guys been waiting for.
is it possible to avoid manipulation? Can you do that? Can you completely become something that no one in the world, no power can manipulate you? Can you do that? Is this possible? So the answer is
No.
no. You have to do it correctly, yaar. तूने हाथ अड़ा दिया. Is there any power in the world? Oh fuck, I forgot. I made such a grand moment. हम ना वहाँ से आप edit कर सकते हैं, वहाँ से ऐसे थोड़ा सा and the so रुक जा. So the answer is
No. You can't really avoid manipulation. There is going to be manipulation in all the part of your life, from childhood to death. There is going to be manipulation, but the only thing you can do is to identify what kind of manipulation you are facing, what kind of feelings you have, and what are those feelings are taken care of in that manipulation or not. And the only thing you can do to avoid manipulation is analyzing yourself, your feelings, and what happened in that particular conversation. If the conversation is always demeaning you, if the conversation is always putting you in a thought that I am wrong, and not on senses where you were wrong. If you are wrong in a certain situation, you are wrong. But in a sense where you are sharing your something where you want comfort, and after that comfort comes the time. There comes the time to tell a person that maybe you should change that certain thing. But if that thing is not being handled properly, then you have to avoid that relationship, or maybe try to find someone new. And again, repeating the point that you can't really avoid manipulation. You are going to be manipulated. You
Bec-
are going to manipulate people.
because in case if you choose isolation, that okay, I will choose isolation in order to be not manipulated, that will not work. Honestly, if you want to survive in life, you want to live like a human being, you want to have dreams, follow your dreams, or to live life normally, you will have to socialize, and with socializing comes manipulation and multiple things. So you'll have to know to work with it, and you will learn it. You just have to trust it, you have to honor yourself, and you have to believe in it. The isolation period, it comes for a while after you realize that okay, I've been manipulated. Then you choose to isolate yourself, but then you will always find great people, and you will always thank yourself for socializing, for talking to people. So yeah, it is important to get out of your isolation phase also, because life cannot be lived by isolation. There are some people you might not want to talk to, but there will be people, because you need humans to survive. In any place you go, in anywhere, you will have to socialize,
And
you
in a
have to
sense,
accept.
if someone is trying to manipulate you very badly, but the person holds a certain position in a certain company you work in, or in life, he holds a certain position, so he has that positional value, then you don't have to cut them off, but realize that this person is trying to do a certain thing in a certain extent, which is where I'm being manipulated. So you have to have the greater idea that you have to avoid these certain things, but you still can talk to the person because they hold value in society.
And so we'll wrap it up with all that. And in the end, we want to say that all that we talked about is just our opinions. These are completely subjective. And so, in case if you don't agree with anything, if you find anything offensive or anything, you can let us know that. We will definitely try to improve, as we're beginners. And yeah, that is it.
And for the most part, thank you for listening. If you listen to that part, if you have listened this much, please make sure to subscribe, follow, like, show us the response. Please give us a review as to what you think or what part we missed, and we would like to see that as well. Thank you so much.